Hello everyone, welcome to Guelph Life. I'm Andrew Wood. We've got a jam-packed episode, so let's get things started. On this episode of Guelph Life, the sun shines down on the Guelph Horticultural Society. We'll take a look back at this year's garden tour. Let's start off with the Priest family garden.
I love gardening, of course, and I have been going on the Guelph Garden Tour and other towns and cities probably for the past 20 years. So about 7 years ago, maybe, at one of the homes on the tour, there was a sign-up sheet and it said, "Someday would you like to have your garden on the tour?" And you know, it's always been a lifelong dream of mine, so I put my name down. And maybe 3 years ago, they called me up and they said, "Do you remember you put your name on the list?" I'm like, "No, I'm not ready." So they came and took a look, and I wasn't ready because I had just started some of these big transitions, so it wasn't quite ready. So then last year, when they called again, 2 years later, they said, "Let us come and take a look and see if it's ready now." And they did, and they said, "We'd love you on the tour." I'm like, "No, I'm not ready." But I think all gardeners feel like you're never ready, right? Gardeners, it's never done. There's never kind of an end state. So they asked me, and I said yes, because it's kind of like now or never. Just jump in with both feet. It's a really interesting lot, our house, because it comes to a point, right? This is like a pie shaped here in the front, and then we have a smaller backyard in the back. And because we're at the point and then the park is right there, Riverside Park, we get so many people walking by, you know, dogs, bikers, joggers. And I thought, you know, I want it to be interesting for the neighborhood. You know, when we have all these people walk by, it would be nice for them to see something beautiful. And so every year I've been expanding this garden. It's probably 5 times bigger, this monster garden I call it, 5 times bigger than when we moved in here 11 years ago. So it just keeps expanding because I want it to be, as I said, for pollinators, make it a native habitat. But because we get so many people walking by, I want it to be beautiful for people to, you know, enjoy as well. So that's kind of every year, you know, it expands. That's all I can say really is we're trying to get rid of lawn and add more gardens. So every year, you know, you'll start to see more and more. You're probably standing or kneeling in a bed, in grass that'll be a bed next year. Some of the plants that I like best are not native, but as I mentioned, I am starting to move towards getting more native plants because I really want to make this a pollinator garden and for a native habitat. So one of my favorites is here on my right, is called calamint. That is a native plant, and it is a type of mint, obviously. And my cat, rest in peace, that was one of his favorite things to hang out when I was gardening, and he would love to hang out at the calamint. It gets beautiful white flowers, and the bees just, you know, in about 2 or 3 more weeks, the bees will just be all over it. There is a shrub on my left, not native, but called Daphne. And I was reading about it this morning. I think it's native to Europe or Eurasia. But if you had been here a week ago or maybe 2 weeks ago, the scent of it, you just walk by on the sidewalk or step out the front door, and it's such a strong, beautiful scent. So it is definitely my husband's favorite, and it blooms for about 2 weeks and has a beautiful scent for about 2 weeks. And behind me, I have not yet blooming, they're more fall blooming, the native echinacea, of course, the coneflower, and the rudbeckia, which are the black-eyed Susans. So come in September, this will just be awash in dark gold and dark purple and reds. So those are a few of my favorites. You know, I don't know if it's all gardeners, but like I said, we never feel like we're done. We have more ideas than we ever have the time. And so, you know, I'll go visit the other gardens on the tour tomorrow evening. We get to have a private show, and I'll come away with so many more ideas. So I don't want to say I don't want to feel like I'm not measuring up because I'm not comparing myself to other gardens, but I'll see other gardens and I'll think, oh, yes, I need to have a waterfall in my garden. Or, yes, I need to, create this bog garden or something. So it's just kind of like feeling like, again, like you're never really done. And what will people think? Will they think it's messy? Because native plants and native gardening is a little bit messy. Leave the leaves and let things lie for the birds and the bees. So will people think it's messy, or will they enjoy this kind of busyness, not perfect? So we'll see. I have a friend who's been helping me a lot with the garden, and she is an amazing knitter. She has a little 2-year-old grandchild, and she knit him this giraffe, like just amazing, so creative with a really funny face, and she just does these really creative art things. And I'm like, I wish I were creative. I wish I were artistic. I'm just not artsy at all. And she said, are you kidding? Look at your garden. I said, I don't consider that art or creative. She said, no, it's totally an art form. This is totally creative. So I'm trying to take that in and go, yeah, okay, there is an element of design to putting plants together and making paths and so on. So I'm trying to call myself an artist, even though I wouldn't have normally have said that.
Welcome back to Guelph Life. There's a lot growing on at the Guelph Horticultural Society Garden Tour. Let's head over to Puslinch to see a farm field reimagined.
This specific garden tour is because I know people in the Guelph Hort Society, and I'm a master gardener, and we are always talking about people's gardens. And there's another group, CFUW, which we have a small gardening group. So it's just talking to people all the time, and some of the Guelph Hort people are they are master gardeners too. So we know each other through this, and we visited each other's gardens, and they asked me to be on it, and I foolishly said yes. I moved here from Toronto, so we bought the place 6 years ago, moved here 4 years ago. And in Toronto, I lived in Cabbagetown and had a Victorian house with a 15-foot wide lot. And I gardened like crazy, front and back and up and sides. So moving out here was just a chance to go crazy. And, you know, we talk about having a disorder, so plant acquisition disorder. All winter long, you're a bit bored, you go online, you order plants. And then spring comes and you go, I don't have a bed to put these plants in. I better build another bed. So I built 20 beds in 6 years. One of the things that's always driven me my whole life is I want to be surrounded by beauty. So whether that's art, music, nature, animals, bird songs, beautiful plants, trees, shapes. I just want to be surrounded by beauty. And living downtown Toronto wasn't always, you know, accessible. So that is the huge drive for all the design stuff and all the structural stuff. I love the physical activity. I love working hard, and having spent many years sitting in a laboratory or at my computer, it's just such a joy to get out here and spend 8 hours a day out in the garden, working, physically. So this is a very special pond. It may be unique in Canada, actually. So it has an artificial pond and a waterfall, but what's unique is the water garden. It's a shallow garden. It's filled probably 4 feet deep with little stones, but it has a very special filtration system called a snorkel valve that is part of the whole biofiltration, keeping the pond clean, and it provides a shallow planting area for emergent plants. So people who go up north, you know, you go swimming in a lake and you go to the edge of the lake and all these gorgeous irises and emergent plants. So I wanted a garden water area that I could plant with those things, and you'll see there's a little island full of emergent plants, and I have a bog garden. So that's a very special area. So every year there's some projects, and down the laneway you pass something that I call the woodland glade. So it used to be just nothing, almost dead white pine trees and spruces, almost dead. So we cut them all down, and I've been planting, this is the 3rd year, and now it's an amazing native plant woodland meadow. So it goes from partly sunny all the way to sort of deep woodland glade, native plants, flowers, and full of native insects, and just, it's a very special, if you're into sort of garden restoration or wildlife preservation, and we really want to build a wildlife-friendly home, then that's a special garden. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing to look at, but it is for people like me. Then you get into the ones, what I call the northwest bed. So it's a long, long bed from the pond area and comes all the way and wraps around the house. And that's more English cottage style garden, many plants from other countries, many scented plants, and very showy. The peonies are just coming out, so it's very showy. Vistas. So the property is all about views. It's all windows, the house is all windows. Every window you look and you see a vista. You see a kind of, it's like a picture. It's almost framed by the window, and it's a picture, and it's a whole setting, and it has a sort of a theme. And it's like being a pussycat going from room to room, or patio to patio, or the deck down to down below, and wandering all over the place to just sit and look around. I'm into conservation and trying to make wildlife corridors, trying to make places for native insects and native bees and, you know, all of this maintenance of wildlife and trying to, so having people come here, you know, for example, some of the neighbors, they just spray everything. They've got lawns and they spray everything and it's all pesticides and insecticides and, you know, herbicides and everything. And I think if they come here and I can show them around or they can sit in the garden for a little bit, then they really might get it and maybe they'd just be a little friendlier to the wildlife. And I mean, a great example is the neighbor across the street. They're beautiful, beautiful neighbors who were inexperienced, moved out here, got themselves some land, and you know, we talk about it, and they're just doing a great job of building gardens and trying to make it friendlier to nature.
And that wraps up this edition of Guelph Life. If you'd like to see more of what we've covered here in the Royal City, use the voice feature on your Rogers Ignite remote and say #GuelphLife. For everyone here at the show, thank you very much for watching. I'm Andrew Wood, and we'll see you next time with more from your Guelph Life.